Mr. Beast, Amazon sued by contestants on Beast Games competition show, with allegations including sexual harassment, and Mr. Beast, Amazon sued by contestants on Beast Games competition show, with allegations including sexual harassment and chronic mistreatment. UEFA warns England could face Euros ban over Sir Keir Starmer's plans for football regulator. The Sims movie from Margot Robbie set to include pools without ladders and other lore. Harris soars to record 6 points lead over Trump in post-debate poll. In the U.S. presidential campaigns, and allies plan $500 million in TV and radio ads. U.S. judges warned of election year risks of foreign hacking. Palm Beach asks for help after spending $93,000 a day to protect Trump. Trump's media company owes more stock to deal architect. Judge rules. J.D. Vance got a former professor to delete a blog post Vance wrote in 2012 attacking GOP over anti-immigrant rhetoric. Thailand readies $12 billion for handout to perk up growth, as Thailand expects less than 40M to join handout scheme, official says. In Canada, government announces boldest mortgage reforms in decades to unlock homeownership for more Canadians, increasing the $1 million price cap for insured mortgages to $1.5 million and expanding eligibility for 30-year mortgage amortizations to all first-time homebuyers and to all buyers of new builds. Saudi Arabia invested $6.3 billion in 7.4K projects in Egypt. 1 million are now dead or injured in the Russia and Ukraine war. Hezbollah is hit by a wave of exploding pagers that killed at least 9 people and injured thousands, and Hezbollah vows retaliation against Israel for deadly pager explosions. In the U.S., Senate Republicans again block legislation to guarantee women's rights to IVF. Overseas threats hit the Ohio city where Trump and Vance lied about Haitians eating pets. In the U.S., suspicious mail containing white powder sent to election offices in at least 16 states. Russian election interference efforts focus on the Harris and Walz campaign, as fake Kamala hit-and-run story is the work of Russian propaganda group, Microsoft says. Snap unveils latest AR glasses despite ongoing struggles in core ad business, as Snap's extremely large spectacles bring impressive AR to developers at $99 a month. EssilorLuxottica and Meta announce long-term partnership to collaborate into the next decade to develop multi-generational smart eyewear products. Instagram makes teen accounts private as pressure mounts on the app to protect children. FDIC unveils rule forcing banks to keep fintech customer data in aftermath of Synapse debacle. 3 months ago it had been reported as Synapse bankruptcy trustee says $85 million of customer savings is missing in fintech meltdown, and last month it has been reported as Synapse's collapse has frozen nearly $160 million from fintech users. FTX auditor fined $2 million by SEC to settle negligence allegations. Pew Research announced more Americans, especially young adults, are regularly getting news on TikTok. Discord launches end-to-end encrypted voice and video chats. California Governor Gavin Newsom signs AI bills that give performers greater protections and control over their likenesses, limit use of election deepfakes. Google will begin flagging AI-generated images in search later this year, as AI-generated and edited images will soon be labeled in Google search results. Snap's new AI feature lets you create Snapchat lenses by simply describing them. Australian police infiltrate encrypted messaging app Ghost and arrest dozens. RCS texts on the iPhone aren't encrypted now, but that could change. Uber will now verify riders as a safety measure for drivers. Meta faces hefty EU antitrust fine over classified ads practices. Google wins challenge against $1.66 billion EU antitrust fine. EU picks tech enforcer who helped write its social media rules. 2 days ago, EU tech enforcer and Musk antagonist Thierry Breton quits. BHP warns AI growth will worsen copper shortfall. CATL launches ultra-high energy density EV bus battery that lasts nearly 1 million miles. Google announces Data Gemma, an experimental set of open models to address the challenges of hallucination by grounding LLMs in the vast, real-world statistical data of Google's Data Commons, a publicly available knowledge graph containing over 240 billion rich data points across hundreds of thousands of statistical variables. Musk's Neuralink gets FDA's breakthrough device tag for blind sight implant. Scientists discover third state between living and dying that could redefine death. Scientists discover new evidence Earth may once have had a ring like Saturn. Temu and SAP refute claims of data breach made on hacker forums. Alibaba cloud servers being carefully dried after firefighter drenching last week, following fire incident in Singapore Availability Zone C data center. Indonesia's go-to to use cloud services from Alibaba Cloud in a 5-year deal. Suspected Trump gunman was once charged with possession of a weapon of mass destruction, and man who appeared intent on killing Trump wrote a book urging Iran to assassinate the former president. Elon Musk's Biden and Kamala wouldn't even try to assassinate anyone post gets 34 million views. Then Musk deletes it as a joke. U.S. Secret Service says it is aware of Musk post about Biden-Harris. Change.org announces a declaration of Elon Musk as a national security risk to the United States. Trump blames Biden and Harris rhetoric for latest assassination attempt, says he will save the country. God of Chaos asteroid Apophis could still hit Earth in 2029, study hints, but we won't know for 3 more years. Webb Space Telescope reveals a galaxy-killer black hole. NASA delays escapade Mars launch on Blue Origin's giant New Glenn rocket to 2025 to avoid potential cost overruns. Days of tribal violence in Papua New Guinea leave more than 35 people dead, police say. 2 former fire chiefs in New York City arrested in corruption scandal. Former Trump chief of staff loses bid to move Arizona election subversion case to federal court. Leaked Supreme Court memos reveal John Roberts' role in shielding Trump from prosecution. Francis Breton resigns as EU commissioner, in public clash with Ursula von der Leyen, and France nominates Foreign Minister Stéphane Séjourné for EU Commission. Vivek Ramaswamy to host multi-part roundtable series on Fox Nation streaming service. Sean Diddy Combs arrested after grand jury indictment. Beetlejuice 2 breaks box office records, as it's revealed the Tim Burton sequel almost went straight to streaming. Bloomberg reports that Disney will introduce 4 new, always-on channels to Disney Plus in late 2024. Hallostream, Hits and Heroes, Throwbacks and Real Life. Storm Boris kills 15 as floods continue to ravage Central Europe. Cuba slashes size of daily bread ration as ingredients run thin. The Lancet announced that more than 39 million deaths from antibiotic-resistant infections estimated between 2024 and 2050 suggests first global analysis, as drug-resistant bacteria deaths projected to rise 70% by 2050. Brain implant can now let man control Amazon's Alexa with his thoughts. Scientists use magnetic nanotech to safely rewarm frozen tissues for transplant. Research shows that human children learn to play house and pretend surprisingly early, as we learn to pretend surprisingly early in our lives, study shows. Microsoft has scrapped Edge's big UI refresh with rounded tabs. Slack brings agents, purpose-built AI, and CRM data into one work operating system, as Slack now lets users add AI agents from Asana, Cohere, Adobe, Workday, and more. IBM wins $45 million over Zynga Games infringing 2 patents. Sam Altman leaves OpenAI Board's Safety and Security Committee. Microsoft announces $60 billion buyback, raises dividend by 10%. Runway debuts API allowing enterprises to build apps, products atop its realistic video AI model, and AI video rivalry intensifies as Luma announces Dream Machine API hours after Runway. TikTok faces skeptical judges in court fight over looming national ban. Meta bans RT, days after U.S. accused Russian outlet of disinformation. Amazon tells employees to return to office 5 days a week. Sextortion scams now use your cheating spouse's name as a lure. Cloudflare have found that 20% of all internet connections are abruptly closed before any useful data can be exchanged. Apple leaks new Mac Mini with 5 USB-C ports. Blue Sky reaches 10 million users. Microsoft unveils multiplayer AI collaboration tool for work, trying to overcome Copilot qualms, as Copilot Pages is Microsoft's new collaborative AI playground for businesses. Omnipresent AI cameras will ensure good behavior, says Larry Ellison. China proposes mandatory red flags placed on all AI-generated content posted online. Apparent camouflage Tesla robotaxi prototype sighted at Warner Bros. Burbank. Nevada agencies eye artificial intelligence to speed jobless claims, DMV queries. Lucid shows off Gravity SUV with Tesla port and teases a cheaper mid-size EV. BTC Puzzle 66 was solved recently, then stolen by bots. Revolut prepares for 2025 India launch. Apple Pay now integrates with Affirm on iOS 18 following Apple Pay later discontinuation. Intel stock soars late on foundry plans. Amazon AI deal after jumping on $3 billion federal funding. Intel reportedly lost PlayStation 6 chip design contract to AMD in 2022, the $30 billion deal. Apple rolls out iOS 18, iPadOS 18, watchOS 11, tvOS 18, macOS Sequoia and visionOS 2. New Zelda game doesn't have Link as the main playable character. As Zelda, Echoes of Wisdom gameplay leaks online. Netflix in talks with BuzzFeed on Hot Ones live show, Bloomberg says. Google's free TV channels, for Google Android TV to now be called Free Play. Crunchyroll to stream Dragon Ball Daima anime on October 11th. For prominent columnists quit Jewish Chronicle over Gaza stories based on fabrications. Pope says war in Gaza is too much. No steps taken for peace. Russia expels 6 British diplomats amid spat over long-range weapons. As Putin warns NATO risks war over Ukraine long-range missiles. Russia expels UK diplomats it accuses of spying. UK-US express growing concerns over rumored Iran and Russia nuclear agreement, questioning nuclear secrets for ballistic missiles. Donald Trump loses Electric Avenue legal battle with Eddie Grant. Jury could be convened over compensation from former president. RFK Jr. says he faces federal investigation for beheading whale. J.D. Vance defends false claims against Haitians says, "If I have to create stories, that's what I'm going to do." As J.D. Vance admits he is willing to create stories to get media attention. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine says baseless claims about Haitian immigrants are garbage. Trump is safe after apparent assassination attempt at his Florida golf course, FBI says. Biden on Trump shooting incident said, "There is no place for political violence." Suspected gunman in apparent Trump assassination attempt said he was willing to fight and die in Ukraine. Sam Altman told OpenAI staff the company's non-profit corporate structure will change next year. Even Facebook couldn't compete with Google, former ad chief says. Aramco Digital and Grok announced progress in building the world's largest inferencing data center in Saudi Arabia. Port of Seattle confirmed that Resida ransomware gang was behind the August attack. Ford seeks patent for tech that listens to driver conversations to serve ads. Apple confirms 8 GB RAM in iPhone 16. 16 Plus for Apple Intelligence gaming. Online dating caused a rise in U.S. income inequality, research paper shows. Prolonged unemployment is associated with control loss in personal, as well as social disengagement. Catching up on sleep on weekends may lower heart disease risk by up to 20%. Tottenham Hotspur's Rodrigo Bentancur charged by Football Association over racist remarks on teammate Son Heung-min. In the U.S., bill would ban sports betting ads during games and forbid bets on college athletes. Guarding crypto is a lucrative business and Wall Street wants in. USDC Issuer Circle announces HQ move to New York ahead of IPO. Asteroid to become temporary mini-moon for 2 months, as Earth's new visitor. Geoscientists detect rapid uplift at unique volcano in Tanzania. In second quarter of 2024, wind becomes Britain's largest electricity source. Elon Musk's XAI accused of worsening Memphis smog with unauthorized gas turbines at data center. In the U.S., job rate for women in tech stubbornly low for 2 decades, study finds. Boiler Room partners with Champion to celebrate dance cultures from around the world. MrBeast strikes Amazon deal for biggest competition series in TV history. PSG reportedly still owes millions to Kylian Mbappé for unpaid wages and bonuses. GM looks to Japan's TDK to make U.S. batteries with China tech. Waymo and Uber expand their robotaxi partnership to Austin and Atlanta. The Hague becomes world's first city to pass law banning fossil fuel-related ads. UK house prices near record after BOE rate cut. Halifax says. China plans to cut mortgage rates to shield banks. Dutch aim for migration clampdown as government sees asylum crisis. Reuters reports Amazon, Walmart's Flipkart breached India antitrust laws. Investigation finds. Brazil judge withdraws $3.3 million from Musk Starlink and X to pay for social media fines. And Brazil Supreme Court unfreezes assets of Elon Musk Starlink, X after taking fines. DJT shares soar, as Trump says, "I'm not selling stake." The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt modder restores secret ending scrapped by CD Projekt. Elden Ring Update 1.14 makes Shadow of the Erdtree's final boss easier, as part of significant balance changes. Underwater mountain discovered is 2 miles high and home to flying spaghetti monsters. iPhone 16 won't include stickers in the box. Google tests desktop windowing for Android tablets. Meta to start using public posts on Facebook, Instagram and UK to train AI. United Airlines signs deal with Starlink for free in-flight Wi-Fi. Colorblind people tend to be less picky eaters, new research shows. Study identifies brain regions that are almost twice as large in people living with depression. Low in carb, high in fat diets boost diabetes risk. Y Combinator expanding to 4 cohorts a year in 2025. Cornell researchers unveil Kirigami robot capable of folding and crawling. Hyundai and GM sign memorandum of understanding to explore collaboration on vehicles, supply chain and clean energy technologies. Sam Bankman-Fried seeks new trial, blaming federal judge for ridiculing him. In the U.S., elections bets go live on Kalsher after CFTC's court loss. Recently, Wall Street regulator CFTC moves to ban election betting, escalating fight over new market. MicroStrategy stock pops 8%, after company UPS Bitcoin holdings to $14.6 billion. Apple seeks dismissal of its NSO Group lawsuit, citing risk of exposing vital security information. 2 years ago, Apple sues NSO Group to curb the abuse of state-sponsored spyware. Alternative app stores will be allowed on Apple iPad in the EU from September 16. Researchers find Apple Vision Pro's eye tracking exposed what users type. Biden targets Shine, Temu with new rules to curb alleged abuse of U.S. trade loophole. In the UK, millions of Vodafone and 3 customers could see their bills rise, officials warn. White House officials signal delay in U.S. steel takeover decision. Harris pledges to rein in degree requirements for federal jobs. Trump pledges largest deportation in U.S. history, starting in Ohio and Colorado. Pope Francis criticizes Trump and Harris, and says voters must choose between lesser of 2 evils. It just exploded, Springfield woman claims she never meant to spark false rumors about Haitians. In the U.S. U.S. hits Russian state media with sanctions for raising money for Moscow's troops in Ukraine. In the U.S., Treasury targets Venezuelan officials aligned with Nicolas Maduro in response to electoral fraud, as U.S. imposes sanctions on 16 Venezuelan officials linked to Maduro. The Guardian comments as, UK has decided to allow Ukraine to use Storm Shadow missiles in long-range strikes on Russia. Starmer tells Putin Russia started Ukraine war, and can end it any time. Poland hosts Blinken joins calls to lift weapons restrictions on Ukraine, as Polish leaders urge Blinken to lift limits on Ukraine's use of long-range weapons. Poland has zero desire to defend Ukraine, top Polish diplomat says in a conversation with pranksters. Erdogan says Crimea must return to Ukraine for just end to war. Turkish-operated vessel carrying grain hit by Russian missile in Black Sea, as grain ship hit by Russians in Black Sea was in Romanian economic zone, claimed in the media. In the U.S., Israeli freight forwarder pleads guilty to violating export restrictions imposed on Russia. Russia now using thermite-spewing Dragon drones to torch Ukrainian positions. 1 week ago it has been reported as Ukraine's Dragon drones rain molten metal on Russian positions. In latest terrifying battlefield innovation. Arctic Circle airports closed after suspected Ukrainian drone attacks. Release secret list of alleged Nazi war criminals in Canada, say Polish and Ukrainian groups. 1 week ago, Ottawa warned release of names of Nazi war criminals who settled in Canada could help Russia. SEC signals Ethereum is not a security in settlement with eToro. eToro reaches $1.5 million SEC settlement, agrees to stop trading most cryptocurrencies. UK court rules Tether is property, in first English law post-trial crypto ruling. Trump to launch World Liberty Financial crypto platform on Monday, as Trump plans to launch his son's crypto business on Monday, 50 days before Election Day. Trump rules out another debate against Harris, as her campaign announces $47 million haul in hours afterward. Harris challenges Trump to debate again as she rallies in North Carolina. Republican Karl Rove says Trump got crushed by a woman he called dumb as a rock during train wreck debate. Democrats who urged Biden to exit race say Harris is exceeding expectations. Democrats who urged Biden to exit race say Harris is exceeding expectations. White House will smell like curry. Trump ally Laura Loomer's racist comment on Kamala Harris's potential victory sparks outrage. Trump defends debate performance and calls for ending tax on overtime. Trump campaign trolls Taylor Swift with Eras-inspired merchandise. MAGA pastor claims Kamala Harris deployed witchcraft in Trump debate. Ben & Jerry's co-founders unveil Kamala Harris ice cream flavor. Unity has canceled its controversial runtime fee. PS5 system update adds Welcome Hub, Party Share, personalized 3D audio profiles, adaptive controller charging, and more. Consumer watchdogs call for EU action on in-game digital money. Tony Hawk says he has been talking to Activision ahead of the Pro Skater 25th anniversary. 10 years after it was pulled offline, viral mobile game Flappy Bird is coming back. Ubisoft stock tanks to 10-year low after lukewarm Star Wars Outlaws launch. Apple brings activation lock to iPhone parts with iOS 18. Google Wallet will let you make digital IDs with US passports, 3 more state IDs coming. Microsoft eyes new Windows security layer to prevent CrowdStrike repeat. Ford commits to manual and V8s for 2025 Mustang and beyond despite rivals like Dodge and BMW pulling back. A stock Toyota Prius just drove across America averaging 93 mpg, setting a Guinness World Record. Lotus Electra will start at $229,000 thanks to 100% tariffs on Chinese EVs. USPS long-awaited new mail truck makes its debut to rave reviews from carriers. It took 50,000 gallons of water to put out Tesla semi-fire in California, U.S. agency says. China directs its carmakers not to make auto-related investments in India. U.S. businesses' optimism in China falls to record low. Survey shows and U.S. companies see record low profits in China amid geopolitical tensions and slow growth, report says. U.S. Congress House approves legislation to restrict tax credits for EVs using Chinese battery technology. European Commission rejects Chinese EV price floor offer as tariff vote looms. Chinese chip making shows progress with new UV patent from domestic lithography champion. Summit supercomputer set to be retired in November 2024. It was the world's most powerful back in 2018 through 19. Google's ad-tech empire may be $95 billion and too big to sell, analysts warn Department of Justice. Meta fed its AI on almost everything you've posted publicly since 2007. Google's AI model faces probe over data use in EU, as Ireland's watchdog launches inquiry into Google's AI data practices in Europe. AI-generated junk science is flooding Google Scholar study claims. OpenAI launches new AI model family O1 claiming PhD-level performance, as OpenAI announces a new AI model, codenamed Strawberry, that solves difficult problems step by step. Oracle will use 3 small nuclear reactors to power new 1 gigawatt AI data center. Google's Gemini Live is now free for all Android users. JP Morgan, Bank of America to crack down on long hours after death of Leo Lakinas, who worked 100 hours per week, and JP Morgan Chase caps bankers' week at 80 hours. Verizon to eliminate almost 5,000 employees in nearly $2 billion cost-cutting move. PwC laying off 1,800 employees as it plans restructuring. South Korean soccer player Sun Jun-ho says, Chinese authorities forced match-fixing confession out of him. British policing minister's bag stolen at a police conference in Warwickshire. TIFF, Toronto International Film Festival halts Russians at war documentary screening after threats to safety. Belarusian Defense Ministry suspects Pokemon Go game of gathering intelligence on the country's military bases. UK terror police aid investigation into death of Ukraine podcaster. Russia puts 6 foreign journalists on wanted lists for illegally crossing border. For $1,000 to low Earth orbit, South Korea's reusable rocket plan targets SpaceX's dominance. FCC chair encourages satellite internet competition. Hints Starlink is a monopoly. A billionaire and an engineer conduct first private spacewalk in SpaceX mission. Mexico will amend its constitution this weekend to require all judges to be elected. In Mexico, Sinaloa governor cancels September 15th, the day for independence of Mexico, due to violence in the state. Colombian President Petro slammed for branding women journalists, dolls of the mafia. UNICEF shocked by unimaginable horror of Malaysia mass child abuse. Recently it has been announced by Inspector General of Police as 402 rescued victims from welfare homes are children of GISB, Global Equine Services and business members. More than 260 women sexually assaulted during Congo prison break, UN report shows. Harvey Weinstein indicted again in New York after conviction overturned. In the U.S., 1 out of 5 borrowers get student loan forgiveness or $0 payments under Biden programs. USA's interest payments on the national debt top $1 trillion as deficit swells. ECB cuts interest rate to 3.5% and warns of weak Eurozone growth. After more than a century, the Campbell's Company drops soup from its name. Boeing machinists vote to strike after 95% reject contract with a 25% pay increase. Kevin Hart's ambitious vegan restaurant chain, Hart House, suddenly closed all locations overnight. Obesity drug black market thrives online in South Korea. 1 year ago it has been reported as nutraceuticals growth in South Korea driven by body fat reduction, healthy aging needs. Reportedly, weight loss drug Wegovy coming to Korea in October 2024. In the UK, ban on junk food ads before 9 p.m. to come into force next year, in bid to tackle childhood obesity. IG Nobel Prize goes to scientists who discovered but-breathing mammals. Korea's LIG Next 1, Iraq set for $2.6 billion deal on MSAM missile system. Italy tests new generation midget submarines of Qatar. U.S. grants Egypt $1.3 billion in military aid, overriding rights conditions. Young Korean women are more educated, less employed than men, OECD finds. Japan drops subsidy plan to draw women to rural areas upon marriage. In Brazil, a court decreed, former husband will have to pay alimony for dog, after breakup. UK Parliament moves to recognize Bitcoin and crypto as personal property. Bitcoin miners dump $1.7 billion worth of BTC, as rising mining difficulty and weak price action take their toll. Russia plans full-scale digital ruble operations in July 2025. EU court says Hungary broke competition rules by fixing food prices. IMF resumes Article 4 consultations with Russia as economy stabilizing, announced by fund official, and Reuters reports that 9 European countries protest against IMF resuming missions to Russia. Swiss authorities freeze $310 million of Adani Group for money laundering, securities forgery investigation, claimed in a report, and Adani rejects short seller Hindenburg's claims of $310 million fund freeze in Swiss banks. EU's first sustainable investment facilitation agreement enters into force with Angola, on green energy, agri-food value chains, digital innovation, fisheries, logistics, and critical raw materials. U.S. supports 2 permanent UN Security Council seats for Africa. Sweden to pay immigrants up to $34,000 to go back to home country. Lukashenko says, Belarus is ready to admit more foreigners for permanent residence. Reports claim Israeli troops raided Iran's IRGC weapons facility in Syria, took equipment and documents. The 6 Canadian terror plots police have foiled since October 7. U.S. Navy SEAL unit that killed bin Laden trains for Chinese invasion of Taiwan. Exposure to air pollution during pregnancy increases postpartum depression risk for at least 3 years, study finds. Study claims for Afghanistan veterans anger not PTSD is the main problem. High doses of ADHD drugs linked to a greater risk of psychosis. Monkeypox deaths rise by 107 in a week, as Africa CDC calls the toll unacceptable. Dam collapse in Nigeria sweeps deadly reptiles into flooded communities. Uptick in drug overdose rates widely reported in Colombia, especially among young women. The Palestinian economy is in free fall and will require billions to rebuild, the UN says. IDF declares Hamas's Rafah brigade defeated. No active cross-border tunnels found. IDF investigates claim Jewish Chronicle published stories based on fabricated intelligence, of which 1 week ago, it had been reported as Sinwar's secret plan to smuggle hostages to Iran. Putin warns Ukraine's use of long-range arms will put NATO at war with Russia. 6 days ago, U.S. says deep strikes in Russia no game-changer after Zelensky plea. NATO making plans of sending its troops to Ukraine, says Russian Deputy Defense Minister, where China and Russia chide West at annual security forum in Beijing. U.S. delays solution to Ukrainian conflict, causes destabilization in Europe, claims North Korea. Finland's territory not to be used to attacks against Russia, announces General Staff, as Finland denies Russian media claims of drone attack from Finnish territory. Leaked contracts reveal Kazakh and Russian scheme to service Su-30SM aircraft with French equipment. Russia discharges 45 Indians fighting in its army. Zelensky urges the West to allow long-range strikes without distance limits. 2 days ago, The Times reported as U.S. could allow Ukraine to fire missiles into Russia within weeks. Peace only way out of wars in Gaza and Ukraine, Chinese defense chief says, as China defense minister calls for negotiation to solve Ukraine-Gaza conflicts. Advisor to Indian PM will tell Putin about closed meeting between Indian PM and Zelensky, and India's PM advisor says never conveyed any statements from Zelensky to Putin, announced by Kremlin. To BRICS, 34 countries have expressed desire to join, announced Putin. TASS comments as IMF supports Turkey's decision to join BRICS, by the fund representative. China welcomes more Global South partners to join BRICS, announced by senior Chinese official. Spotify looks to pay video creators to put shows on platform. Elon Musk calls Australian government fascist over misinformation law. 3 days ago it has been announced as Australia to set minimum age for children using social media. Telegram starts cooperation with French police, claimed by the media. Iranian cyber group, oil rig targets Iraqi government in sophisticated malware attack, and reportedly, charges coming in alleged Iranian hack and leak attack on Trump campaign. New Android malware Agina. Banker steals financial data and bypasses 2FA via Telegram. A new Vo1D malware infects 1.3 million Android-based TV boxes worldwide. Georgia judge dismisses 2 criminal counts against Trump in election interference case. Homeland Security designates next January 6 as a national special security event. AI chatbot gets conspiracy theorists to question their convictions. WeWork founders' climate firm refunds crypto token holders after failed launch, reported by Forbes. Coinbase version of wrapped Bitcoin, CBBTC, goes live as Coinbase drives $18 billion Bitcoin pool towards DeFi with new BTC variant. Indonesian crypto exchange Indodax shuts down after suspected $22 million hack. White House extracts voluntary commitments from AI vendors to combat deepfake nudes. Salesforce unleashes an army of artificial intelligence bots with industry's AI. Scientists discover crude oil decimates sea otter buoyancy. Japan shows first commercial fin whale catch in 48 years. In Brazil, return of daylight saving time is a real possibility, and only depends on an ONS study, says Minister of Mines and Energy. A landslide in a remote part of Greenland caused a 200-meter, 650-foot, mega tsunami that sloshed back and forth across a fjord for 9 days, generating vibrations throughout Earth, according to a new study. Amazon rainforest becomes Earth's largest greenhouse gas emitter. 88 corporate leaders endorse Harris in new letter, including CEOs of Yelp, Box. London Borough threatens to clear Lime hire cycles from streets over abandoned e-bikes havoc. South Korea summit to target blueprint for using AI in the military, as 60 countries endorse blueprint for AI use in military, where China opts out. Former Samsung executives arrested for allegedly stealing tech for China. MariaDB goes private with new CEO, as K1 closes acquisition. Facebook admits to scraping every Australian adult user's public photos and posts to train AI, with no opt-out option. Taylor Swift has endorsed Kamala Harris for president. Donald Trump says Taylor Swift will pay a price for endorsing Kamala Harris. Elon Musk breaks debate silence with bizarre offer to impregnate Taylor Swift, and reportedly, Taylor Swift drove nearly 338K people to vote.gov with Kamala Harris endorsement post. Nancy Pelosi suggests 30% of Republicans are sexist, racist, homophobic. Utah social media restrictions likely violate First Amendment, judge rules, as Utah social media law requiring age verification blocked by judge. Americans use record 100 trillion megabytes of wireless data in 2023. Apple's Fuzzy Feelings wins Primetime Commercial Emmy Award. Payments in Singapore with stablecoins rise to almost $1 billion. Biden aides working on proposal for U.S. sovereign wealth fund. Blockchain music startup Tune.fm raises $50 million from global emerging markets. Google teams with the Internet Archive to revive cache feature. Adobe is entering the AI video space with new Firefly video model. In the U.S., Senate leaders ask FTC to investigate AI content summaries as anti-competitive. Nielsen announced, over 67 million viewers tune in for ABC News Harris vs. Trump debate. ABC debate moderators live fact-check Trump's false claims from the stage, and Trump demands ABC be shut down for daring to fact-check debate. Former Vice President Dick Cheney says he will vote for Harris. Liz Cheney calls Trump a catastrophe and urges Republicans to vote for Harris, and former President George W. Bush has no plans to endorse in the election. Trump wants 25th Amendment changed to impeach vice presidents. At least 2 Saudi officials may have deliberately assisted 9/11 hijackers, new evidence suggests. Pakistani national charged for plotting terrorist attack in New York City in support of ISIS, on or around October 7, 2024. Israel claims to offer Hamas leader Sinwar safe passage out of Gaza in return for hostage release. Ukraine's Kursk offensive has triggered doubts among Russian elite, spy chiefs say. Biden says, ending ban on Ukraine's use of long-range weapons being worked out. Russian ship captured in satellite image, delivering ballistic missiles from Iran. Leader of Nigeria's Labor Federation arrested, union says. China's disappeared foreign minister demoted to low-level publishing job, say former U.S. officials. Japanese firms sour on China after long years of brushing off risks. Researchers warn methane emissions, rising faster than ever. Father's diet before conception can impact children's metabolic health, study finds. China to raise retirement age to avert pensions crisis. NBC pulls back Tonight Show to 4 nights per week. World's first aerospike engine aircraft to take to the skies in September. 4 months ago, world first aerospike rocket flight test ends in disaster. Elderly Romanian woman used amber nugget worth over $1 million as a doorstop for decades. COVID lockdowns prematurely aged girls' brains more than boys, study suggests. In the U.S., tube tying rose after Roe v. Wade was overturned, especially in states that ban abortion, study shows. Chemicals in common personal care products like soap and makeup could cause girls to start puberty early. OpenAI fundraising set to vault startup's valuation to $150 billion. Google's AI note-taking app Notebook LM can now explain complex topics to you out loud. New Pixel acoustic attack leaks secrets from LCD screen noise. Tor node operators raided by German police. Philadelphia Eagles deny endorsing Kamala Harris after fake ads pop up around Philly. The 2024-25 edition of the UEFA Champions League will follow a new format. 36 clubs will participate in the Champions League phase. Teams will play 8 matches in the new league phase. Dodgers Shohei Ohtani inks global trading card deal with Topps. In the U.S., private equity firms can now own shares of NFL teams. Cristiano Ronaldo to be honored as UEFA Champions League all-time top scorer. Jason and Travis Kelce score $100 million deal with Amazon for their New Heights podcast. Dallas Cowboys are first sports team to surpass $10 billion in value. Babe Ruth called shot Yankees jersey fetches record $24 million. Environmental stress reduces shark residency to coral reefs. Elon Musk now controls 2/3 of all active satellites. Earthquakes can trigger quartz into forming giant gold nuggets, study finds. Micron unveils 36 GB, high-capacity version of ultra-fast memory useful for AI development. Blue Sky's total number of users has finally exceeded 9 million, and video posting function will be released soon. Replit releases Replit Agent, an AI that allows people with no knowledge to create apps simply by entering prompts. A diagram of a thermonuclear warhead, classified as a top national secret, was discovered in a logo image. NVIDIA's AI GPUs are cheaper to rent in China than in the US, $6 per hour for 8 NVIDIA A100 GPUs. White men who have been mistreated at work are more likely to notice and report harassment, claims a new research. Musk denies report his XAI and talks over Tesla revenue. Honor's latest devices use AI to try to reverse nearsightedness. Kaspersky offloads U.S. antivirus customers to Pango Group. Significant link found between heme iron, found in red meat and other animal products, and type 2 diabetes risk. Mobile phones are not linked to brain cancer according to a major review of 28 years of research. The brain compresses and organizes the events of the day into less than 1 second while sleeping. Microsoft to announce next phase of Copilot, On September 16th, Firefox now lets you access your favorite AI chatbot without switching tabs. China's collapsing EV startups leave owners stranded. iPhone SE4 to complete Apple's switch to OLED across iPhone lineup. Quad claims, next year's upgrade to 12GB RAM will be limited to iPhone 17 Pro Max. Meta's large language model Llama reaches 350 million downloads. Spintronics enables energy harvesting from weak radio waves used in wireless communication. City of Columbus sues man after he discloses severity of ransomware attack. AnandTech, mainstay of computer hardware reviews, closes after 27 years. Child sexual abuse content was found in the dataset LAON5B, which is also used for Stable Diffusion, and the developer released ReLAON5B, which removed the links. Astronomers witness dark matter go rogue in epic galaxy cluster collision. 1930s famine continued to affect Ukrainian health 7 decades later. To kill mammoths in the Ice Age, people use planted pikes, not throwing spears, researchers say. Grandparents' educational attainment is associated with grandchildren's epigenetic-based age acceleration in the National Growth and Health Study. Venezuelan news agency turns to AI-generated newscasts to protect journalists. Blake Lively's haircare line is finally here after 7 years in the making. Doesn't include conditioner. Microsoft-led team achieves record for reliable 12 logical qubits in quantum computing. China-led team seeking elusive quantum of gravity finds first evidence of particles behaving like gravitons, the particle that gives rise to gravity. Japan to begin developing zettaflop scale supercomputer in 2025. Roblox builds open-source 3D AI model, adds tech for faster game loading. Shailene Woodley to star as Janis Joplin in biopic backed by California tax credit. Research shows that campaigns promoting video content subscriptions by saying piracy is a crime, so watch it legally, are counterproductive. NASA releases first photo of 860 square foot solar sail in orbit. Hundreds of microorganisms, including pathogens, discovered 3,000 meters above Japan. Canada's canola pile hits 4 years high, as China probes dumping. Goldman says global rate-cutting cycle bodes well for US dollar. Larry Ellison's fortune grows $14 billion overnight, making him the 7th richest person on Earth. Unicode version 16.0 released with new emojis, faces with bags under the eyes, hieroglyphs, arrows added, information added to the Japanese character information infrastructure, and more. Cloudflare announces that it has reduced CPU usage by 1% for processes that run 35 million times per second by optimizing its code. Apple must pay Ireland more than $14 billion in back taxes, court rules. An antibody discovered at UT Austin could protect against all COVID variants. Outdoor nighttime light exposure. The light pollution is associated with Alzheimer's disease. Google loses fight against $2.7 billion U.S. antitrust fine. OpenAI's most advanced AI model Strawberry to launch earlier than planned. AG Ferguson urges Congress to require warning labels on social media. Google Illuminate generates audio with 2 AI-generated voices in conversation, discussing the key points of select papers. Data claims self-driving cars